All right, now we're gonna roll into toxicity. When we think toxic, what are we thinking? What, class? Six? And, what's our concern with these?
Toxic inhalation hazard.
Okay, inhalation? And what's it gonna do to you?
Make you sick.
Sick? Yeah, sick, damage your body. So, it can be acute or chronic. What's acute?
Short.
And chronic is? Can attack a single system in your body or multiple. Organophosphates, those can have multiple effects on your body. Now, you guys ever heard the term like sludgeum? Okay, salivation, lacrimation, urination, defecation. What's that? Oh, and you're empty? Yeah. Yeah, so all sorts of good stuff can happen to your body. You're gonna start losing out of everything. So if you look at table 4.3, which is on 154, those of you who are EMTs or medics, or those of you planning to be, you can break these words down and I'll tell you what organ is going to target. So nephro, what is that? Kidney, okay. Hemo?
Blood.
Neuro?
Brain.
Nervous system, the brain's part of it. I think this, I don't think that's supposed to have an R in it, but hepato. Liver. Immuno. Or the endocrine system. So hormones. Musculoskeletal. Muscle and bones. Your respiratory. Cutaneous. What a mutagen.
That'd be like radiation or well, I guess toxic substances as well.
It's gonna target your DNA, so it's gonna change it.
Mutation.
Yeah, I know there's always like superheroes that are mutants or, oh, like the turtles.
The Ninja Turtle.
Yeah.
Love the Ninja Turtle.
So they had a change in their DNA that made them turtle people. Okay, teratogen, that's a hard one for me to say. That attacks the fetus or the embryo. And then a carcinogen, we're pretty familiar with that word because we're firefighters. Okay, so if you're exposed to a toxic substance, having an adverse health effect, what do you think is going to dictate whether you have a like the severity of the effect on you? Okay, so the amount could play into it. What else?
How it went into your system.
Good. Yeah, how you're exposed.
The time,
Okay, the amount of time that you're exposed to it.
maybe the concentration of the chemical.
Good.
Or your body type.
Yes. Yeah. So your overall health can play into that. So the age extremes always play into that. So the really young and the really old. And then also if you have like comorbid factors, if you have other health issues.
Compromise the immune system.
Yes, for sure. All right. So contamination. We'll go over that again. So contamination is the transfer of something in to another in greater than acceptable quantities. An exposure means that it has entered your body or potentially entered. Does that make sense? Okay. And then we've talked about the acute and chronic exposures. Okay. I feel like we've hit on this quite a bit. So just know that there's the two hazards of asphyxiants. There's the oh, I'm so sorry. Simple and chemical. Okay, what's an irritant? It's not just me, your teacher.
Fire, skin, or respiratory.
You know, that sounds right. So,
It depends on the body's mucous membranes.
Bear spray,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, a convulsant, what's that gonna do to you?
Musculoskeletal system and maybe your nervous system. It'll affect those.
They cause involuntary muscle contractions. And it can be so severe that, they can just become so exhausted that they just die. Yeah, go ahead.
So, which one would that be? Would that be, I'm trying to find it here. Would that one be more of a, more of like a muscular system attack or a nervous system attack?
You know, I would think probably more likely like a neurotoxin, but it could also be, maybe depending on the material. And so where can you find that information?
Probably in your ERG.
Look at ERG or maybe look at SDS or the Google machine, like that. Probably contact laser. Okay. How about an allergen?
For reaction of the immune system.
So you guys know the word anaphylaxis?
It's a type of shock.
Do you know what that the definition is when you break it down? What's an mean in medical terminology?
Without.
The opposite of, or yeah, without, and phylaxis. You know what phylaxis is? Protection. So Anna actually means the opposite of protection. So what it is your body has an over exaggerated allergic response. But there's a whole thing that happens and tries to get rid of the foreign body. You can learn more about that in EMT or paramedic school. What's that?
Histamine.
Histamines, IgEs. So an allergen will cause an overreaction of the immune system. So what kind of things are you gonna see?
Sneezing.
What's that?
A lot of sneezing, maybe.
Sneezing, yeah. Eyes,
Swelling.
swelling, yeah. It could be a wide range of reactions. And then it could get severe enough to be an anaphylactic. How about a sensitizer? Are you guys familiar with that?
Very cold. I did AMT, your body. Hold on.
Okay, we'll give you a second.
Um. Sorry, guys, sorry, hold on. Oh, your body like, says, oh, here, I know it's like in my brain,
It's all there, but it's having a
it's
hard
like-
time like coming out here. Yeah, I get that.
like your body isn't at first, but like after repeated use, it's like it doesn't like it anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
The first
so-
time you encounter it, you won't have a reaction, but the second time you will.
So what a sensitizer is something that like a majority of people if repeatedly exposed to it, they will develop an allergy to that. And so think of one that is very common is latex. And so you see now latex is kind of we don't use it as much in the medical world anymore. You still find it around and stuff, but a lot of people with like chronic health problems, they develop an allergy to latex because they're repeatedly exposed to it through their medical procedures. But now we've gotten away from latex, we're using more like the nitrile. So a lot of like first responders too would develop latex allergies just from using the latex gloves repeatedly.
First time you become sensitized, the second time you have a reaction.
Yeah, and that's kind of how allergic reactions work. So typically, the first time you're exposed to something, you're gonna be okay. But the second time, your body says like, "Oh, I remember you. You're a bad guy, and I'm gonna send everybody to get rid of you." So it sends all of the whole like histamines and the IgA, all that stuff that I don't remember because it's been too long since I've been in medical school. So in your book, it lists some of the common sensitizers. So latex, bleach, formaldehyde. Poison ivy, oak, sumac. We've talked about some of the fireground contaminants. I think we've hit on this, pretty extensively, so we're not gonna go too much further into it, but if you look on, page 156, there's a table of some of the common things found in the, gases and, smoke that you could be exposed to. Okay. And we talked about carbon monoxide. Talked about carbon dioxide. So carbon monoxide is a chemical asphyxiant, right? And then the carbon dioxide is simple because it displaces oxygen. What products of a fire are considered toxic? Like most of them, all of them, maybe not the water. Okay, now we're gonna move into biological hazards. Several different mechanisms, different types. So organic substances, microorganisms that pose a threat. And again, what classification? I guess it depends on what you're dealing with, but we're thinking 6, maybe the, is it the miscellaneous for the bio hazard waste? Okay, so you can, there's lots of different ways that you can be affected by a biological hazard. And it can transmit disease through a vector. So what's a vector?
Mode of transportation or a means of going.
Okay, so when we think about like when we're responding on the ambulance, one of the things is needles. You can get a stick from a dirty needle, we would say, and then you're potentially infected. Bloody other people's stuff. Gross.
Your eyes.
What's that? Yeah, you can get stuff in your eyes. Mosquitoes. You think of some of the things that mosquitoes carry? I can't hear you.
Ebola, remember that was a big thing when I was a kid.
Ebola, when you were a kid, God, that was in my career.
Was it like malaria?
Malaria.
My dad's friend got West Nile, I think.
West Nile?
Bloodborne illness.
Oh, it ticks.
There was a neuro.
Like Lyme, there's Lyme disease. I'm trying to remember the name of it. Yeah. Let's look it up. How about, okay, what's a virus?
Was it scabies?
Scabies are, they're, lice on the body, right?
I think you're right. You
Yeah.
mentioned that.
Okay, so virus. Simplest of the microorganism, they replicate in living cells and they don't respond to antibiotics. That's why, you know, if you go to the doctor, they diagnose you with a virus, they're not gonna give you an antibiotic because it's not gonna work. You might get an antiviral. That's only in certain cases. So, and then you have bacteria. So they can either invade the tissues or produce toxins. And then you have biological toxins produced by living organisms. We talked about some in awareness. You can get, do you remember some of them talking about? That's great. Okay, so, if a biological hazard causes a disease, etiological hazard. So a few terms here that you'll you wanna know, gosh, this book has, I mean, this chapter has a lot. Some infectious diseases are passed from person to person, so what would be an example? The flu, yeah? Colds, how about cancer? Okay, some are transmitted by insects or animals. What's one that's a problem right now? That's in the news? The bird flu, yeah.
I don't know.
What's that?
I was just saying, I didn't know
Okay.
that. That's it.
So sometimes infect others by contaminated food or water. You guys been paying attention to the news? There is. It seems like, yeah, it seems like there's a lot, that E. coli, which is, typically in intestines. But it gets out and,
What was the one in the milk, listeria? The
uh,
other one?
botulism, is it?
What was listeria? What's going around?
Yeah, listeria is actually, that's something that wasn't very common, but. I know my brother who's in medical school said he was taking care of a kiddo that had listeria. Okay, biological hazards. Medical laboratories, agricultural facilities. Are we at risk? Absolutely. Some are transmitted through bodily fluids. So what's that rule in EMS?
Not sure.
If it's warm and sticky and not yours, don't touch it. So not only are we at risk on our day-to-day calls, but there's bad people out there that like to do bad things and hurt people. So we could possibly be exposed through biological agents used as weapons, which are
Weapons, distraction.
Have there ever been any like terrorist attacks in the Tri-Cities?
by definition, yes. But when we think of like large scale, no, not in recent history. Okay, 3 types of biological hazards. Virus,
Bacteria.
bacteria,
Biological toxins.
there you go. Thank you. All right, now we're gonna talk about the GEPMO. So, like I said, we love acronyms. So if you turn to page 158. The GEPMO is the General Hazardous Materials Behavior Model. So there is, okay, these are ways, so a stress. So like here the example is, we've taken that thumbtack to the balloon. Might weaken out a bit. And then when we puncture it, it's been breached. So now there is an opening in there. The release. Everything's coming up, right? Then we go into the dispersion or engulfment, so that cloud comes and engulfs you. Okay. And then what happens? You're in the middle of that icky green stuff. Yeah, you've now been exposed because what happened?
You inhale.
Yeah, somehow it got into your body, or there's potential. And then, after you've been exposed, this is the bad stuff, so what happened? We have one. Okay, so stress, breach, release, dispersion, engulfment, exposure, or contact and harm. Okay. Questions about any of that? I know that this has been on the test before. Okay, so what is it? Stress, breach, release. What happens after it's released? Okay, and might. Yeah, and then, so you've been engulfed in it, so then you've experienced exposure. And now that you've been exposed, you have,
Harm.
to me, it would make more sense if they gave you like SERDEH instead of gamma. Then you could remember it. All right, different types of container stresses. So thermal energy. So what would that mean? So either heat or cold and chemical energy,
Version.
okay? Mechanical energy. You say function, you whispered it. Oh, I could read your lips. Okay, so a function, what else?
Maybe just something running with the container.
Okay,
Car or something.
so what happens? What does with heat apply to a container make it do?
It expands the container.
It expands, okay? And so on the flip side, what does cold do?
One shrink things.
What about, we talked about, when we apply heat to the outside, what's happening on the inside?
Bloody.
Potentially, yeah, so we're increasing the pressure there. Here we've got chemical energy, we see what's happening there. We have a pretty good idea, so it's not supposed to look like that. Sometimes we don't even know what's happening in there, so you might be having some chemical reactions causing some stress on that container, and it's not visible from the exterior. So mechanical energy, what do you think happened here?
Outside.
It looks like it flipped, I didn't hear what you said, I'm sorry. So we have a lot of these going down the freeways. So we have a collision, we have some sort of impact, looks like it hits it. But there could also be that internal overpressure, or we saw that first video we watched today. All right, so you roll up on this and you see damage, so what are you thinking about the contents inside?
Aggravated.
What's that?
Aggravated. And
Okay.
then with a lot of pressure.
They're gonna try and find a way out, right? And so then it becomes a hazardous materials incident. What if our relief valves are activated?
And there's heat.
So we're increasing the pressure, it's trying to, that relief valve is trying to compensate. All right, so when we're looking at container stress, we want another type of container. So we see one with rounded ends. Pressure. Okay. You want to know what's in the container? How bad was the damage? How long's it been going on? Might be several things that contributed to the stressors. So liquid containers may transport materials that polymerize. What is one of the hazards with that?
Freaking heat.
Yeah, a lot of energy can be produced in those reactions. So most solid containers, their damage occurs by mechanical stressors. Or we're thinking about some of the other like liquids or gases there that might be a chemical reaction there causing that. All right, so we want to be very careful. Anything that's been damaged has potential for something to happen. Okay, so what are our three causes of container stress?
Thermal.
Thermal,
Mechanical.
mechanical,
Chemical.
chemical, you got it. Okay, what's a breach? I'm not talking about breach.
Dang. When it's actually spilling out into the environment, so.
So yeah, so something has caused that to fail. So it's stress beyond its limit and opens and goes instead of. All right. What happened here? We have this container that should have been attached there. Something, looks like a chemical reaction. Degraded that. Okay. Runway cracking. You guys ever have this like on your windshield? With a little bit of crack, and then it runs, okay. Snow commonly associated with levees. We don't really know why it happened. Could be. Yeah, something hit it. Pressure, something. Okay, what's a puncture? What happens when you get a puncture in a container? How does that happen?
Something running into something else.
Yeah, something hitting.
Something hit it. Okay, well, that looks bad. What kind of container does that look like to you?
And it will,
High pressure.
Sure looks like it. All right, so we had mechanical or thermal, cause a split or a tear. So we're thinking, see what ways that your containers fail.
Yeah, kind of over pressurized.
Overpressurized, right? So what happens? Okay, so it's looking for. Oops, went the wrong way. Okay. Disintegration. Opens up or breaks. Puncture. Or split or tear. Okay. All right. So after the container fails, everything wants to get out, right? So. How fast it's going to. Be released. Depends on what. Pressure, the material. The container. All right, so there, you also need to know these. A detonation, that is instantaneous. Boom. So. This is key here. So hundreds or thousands of a second, so an explosion. Or you can have a violent rupture. Also super fast, but not as fast. Immediate release of chemical or mechanical energy caused by runaway cracks. 1 second or less. Rapid relief. That's what's happening here. Who's talking about? Jennifer, you talking about that going to the propane tank that was overfilled?
That was coral.
Oh, okay. Can last several seconds to several minutes, and then how about a spill or a leak? It'd be slower. Oh, excuse me. Okay, so detonation, boom, fast. Okay, violent rupture, also boom, not as fast. Rapid relief, pressurized material through a safety device. Seconds to minutes, and then a spill or a leak. Slow release through full rips or tears. Questions on that? Okay. Still doing okay? Page 164. But once it gets out of the container. Excuse me. So we've had a release. Resulted in engulfment. there's different dispersion patterns. So. The hemispheric release. So this one's coming up, it's still. So you can see we've had the release still in contact with the ground and it comes up. And so different types of dispersion patterns. So we got the hemispheric release. Now that, like I said, it's still connected to the earth, to the ground there, and it comes up and releases. Then we got a cloud where hovering above, but it's not attached, right? So it's above us. And you got a flume. Excuse me. So a flume can be, I'm so sorry. That was like wildland terms. We have a plume of smoke. What can affect where that is going? With it, wind, yeah, wind, topography. So there's a couple of subcategories of a plume. You can take a look at those in your book. How about a cone? What's a cone look like?
Narrow to big.
Yeah, narrow to big. Typically, so we'll see that like here, some sort of leak there. Small, so it comes out, spreads out there. Excuse me. So in a hemispheric, you're gonna have energy going in all directions. Again, affected by the terrain and cloud cover. Can also have a problem with the hazardous material in the container parts. So you see that picture, it shows some of the like the shrapnel going with it. So we've got cloud. It can spread without the influence of the wind. So just know that the dispersion of the flume is affected by vapor density. So some other types of stream. So where are we gonna see that?
Liquids.
Liquids, yeah. And where's this gonna go? So gonna follow gravity or topography. How about a pool? You can see, so maybe we don't, maybe we're on level ground, it's just gonna pool up there. Now this irregular dispersion, so what's happened here, we can do this, so this guy's got it, he's like, I'm getting the heck out of here, so he drives away, and now he's dispersed it on his tires, or you and I come in and we're like, whoa, what is that stuff? We step in and we walk away, so, and we've spread it, so it's irregular. It doesn't follow a certain pattern other than where our feet or our wheels take us. So really just boils down to an irregular indiscriminate deposit of hazardous material. Okay? Questions on any of that? Okay, so what are our dispersion patterns?
Hemispheric.
Hemispheric, okay. And what's that gonna look like?
big cloud connected to the ground,
Mhm.
so.
It might take some stuff with it, shrapnel and stuff. Okay, what else? Cloud, what's that look like?
So it's got.
It's up in the sky, like a cloud. Okay. Who? Okay. What else?
Cone.
Cone, okay, good. What's cone look like? They're the white, alright. And then, what else? What are some of the other ones? Cool. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay,
A street.
street. Mhm. And then, what was the last? Okay, you guys are rocking this. Okay. Read this to you guys, there's a lot here. But if you go to page 166 and 167, I'd really like you guys to take a look at that. When we get down to our study time. Okay, so take a look through it, and then if you have any questions about it, let me know. Oh, dang it, all the heck. Really good. TV time out here. Person say something. So, we're looking at our exposures. So what is going to, we're looking at what's gonna be exposed. Okay. People, environment, property, so the things we want to protect. So how do we know what we need to do? What are we going to assess when we're looking at the exposure?
How it's spreading,
What is it?
how it's spreading.
How it's spreading? Good, okay. What's that?
I was just say just.
I really can't hear you, I'm so sorry.
I know, I need to speak up, just the incident type of what's going on, what's spilling.
What's spilling,
Yeah,
okay,
Or what.
so we want to know what it is,
Yeah,
okay. How long it's been going on? What was exposed? What are our hazards? And we look at, okay, what's going on right now? What do we need to fix right now? Or what? So like here they say, do we have an explosion, a deflagration, a detonation? And then what's gonna happen? Do we have? What's gonna do in the short term? What's gonna happen in the medium term? And then the long term, so this here, like some of those, large scale hazardous material, you know, the ones that hit the national news, and these people are dealing with these things very long term. So, long term health effects, long term, you know, damage to their environment. I mean, it's life changing for them. Yeah, that would definitely be one. I mean, shoot, what was that, 30 years ago or so, maybe even longer? Still have the effects of it. So the immediate was. What happened there? Well, they had a meltdown and. And then they had the short-term problems they were dealing with, then they had the medium. And then now we're dealing with the long term. Okay, what's the difference between exposure and contamination?
Exposure in you, like exposure into your body, contamination on you. I'm in contact.
We're gonna talk about fun stuff. You guys are rolling up. You're called out to a hazardous materials incident. What made it an incident?
it's not controlled.
Yeah, it got out of its container. Okay, so what do you want to know? What do you want? What information are you gonna start gathering?
What is it?
What is it?
What's it doing?
Okay, so how do we know what it is?
Placards,
Placards? Okay,
labels.
that's the driver, yeah.
Where we are,
Okay.
or if we
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
inherently where it is.
I heard a couple other things. Did you say something?
He said labels.
Labels, okay, you guys are all pointing at each other, I'd say. Okay. Okay, so we have an idea of what it is, so then what are we gonna do?
What it's doing?
What it's doing, okay? What else do we wanna know? What it's doing now?
If there are any victims.
What's it's gonna do, victims, okay?
Once we know what it is, we're gonna open up the ERG. And see
Yeah.
like, if it's a toxic inhalation hazard, if we need to set up an isolation zone or
Good,
stuff like that.
very good.
That's why we want Jeffrey.
Okay. So we need to understand what's going on. What are we dealing with? And then. So what is our hazard right now? How much harm? And what is gonna happen down the road? So we're not just thinking about the problem we have right now, but we're thinking about the problems we're gonna have in 10 minutes, in 30 minutes, in 4 hours, okay? We need to establish our incident priorities. But what's always number one at any incident we go to?
Safety.
Safety,
Safety.
life safety, yep. All right, and then at every incident, we're going to do what? Set of
I see. Incident.
incident command system. And sometimes we have our predetermined procedures. Where did it happen? Did it happen on the road or the highway? Did it happen on the railroad? Did it happen near a river? Did it happen in a building? Where are we at? Relating to population. It's a bigger problem if it happens in the middle of the city. Versus it happens 40 miles out on a farm that has 4 people, right? So what's involved? How's it gonna behave? Container. What's happening to the container? How much time? Also, a big factor is what resources. And what's been done already, go ahead.
To answer what's been done already, or I just had a question. Um. My question was, so thinking about it, if you needed to, so assume you arrive on scene and you realize that it's hazardous material and you need an evacuation area. How would you go about doing that?
Depending on what it is, so we have different ways, we can, we sometimes utilize law enforcement to help us go door to door. We send out things through code red, it sends out a message to the cell phones, said evacuate area if you're within. This area would use media, social media, lots of different ways. You can also get out like your PA. Notes.
I would say like, where you said the police, like when the hurricanes were happening, they have,
Oh, there's a dog.
It's-
Oh, that is kind of thought.
oh.
Do we need, we should probably pause.
Yeah,
Sorry. I would say they have.
More slides, 10 more slides to go. Okay, so we want to know what's already been done. What needs to be done. So. We need to know what we're dealing with. What kind of, you're rolling up to a hazmat incident? What do you want to know?
You a number.
What it is, okay? And then what? I know what it is.
Container it is,
Okay, what kind of container?
and how big it is.
Yep, how much?
What it's doing.
What it's doing?
it's going to-
What it's going to do?
Anyone on.
Alright. Where are we gonna get that information?
from the driver.
Okay, you got ERG, you got the driver.
Wider.
So what, oh, I thought you said Viper. Wider, okay?
Possibly dispatch.
Dispatch might be able to give you something.
Callers.
What's that?
Sorry, from the caller,
For the call? Okay.
find a contact point and.
Something more? What would you? Alex? Agency approved sources, make sure they're credible. You called Billy Bob, and he says. What you gotta do. Yeah, don't, no. You got that, I brought in my Osh pocket guide of tickets. It's in there, honestly, that's not one that I, readily think about. Emergency response time. Okay, so, here's some Chemtrack, Chemtel, InfoTrack. So if you call these, they're gonna wanna know a few things. Location, nature, might wanna know about the weather. Shipper consignment, so who's shipping it, who's receiving it? Who is responsible for it, so the trucking company or the rail car reporting marks. Type and size. How much of the material? So you wanna know. Conditions, said the weather, what's the terrain, how close or what's, what are. What's at risk? Which emergency services have been notified? What did you guys learn?
Oh,
A lot of terms.